Welcome, you're at One-on-One with Wes the Sports Guy here at YouTube.com and online all the time at WesTheSportsGuy.com as well. Please leave a like or subscribe at the bottom of your screen. You can also leave a comment as well to see if you agree with any of my opinions this week, or if you have an opinion of your own, please leave a comment at the bottom of your screen. Starting off with the NFL draft, we had a pretty eventful first round. You could say that, just to sum it up as simply as you can. Baker Mayfield went number 1 overall to the Cleveland Browns. That was kind of a shocker. Nobody expected him to go first overall, let alone even in the top 5. A lot of experts and analysts had him going outside of the top 5. Definitely first-round pick, but not first overall to Cleveland Browns. But they went ahead and picked their quarterback of the future at number 1, and then later on followed it up at number 4 with a cornerback from Ohio State, Denzel Ward. Quarterbacks were still the name of the game this year in the NFL draft. Sam Darnold went to the New York Jets at number 3. Josh Allen was drafted by the Buffalo Bills at number 7. Buffalo traded up to draft the Wyoming Project. And at number 10, Josh Rosen of UCLA was acquired in a trade by the Arizona Cardinals. They moved up to number 10 to draft the UCLA product. Lamar Jackson was also drafted in the first round. The Baltimore Ravens traded back into the first round at number 32 overall to draft Louisville, also former Heisman Trophy winner, who had 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks going into this first round. I believe that's the first time that's ever happened in NFL history. The best player overall in the entire draft was the running back from Penn State, Saquon Barkley. He went number 2 overall to the New York Giants. That wasn't a shocker there. If the Browns were going to pass him up at number 1, the Giants would be foolish to pass up on Barkley, who is just an amazing running back. You saw him in college at Penn State, and he easily could outperform what Ezekiel Elliott was doing for the Dallas Cowboys his rookie season. Barkley has that type of talent where he could be one of the best overall running backs very early on in his career. That's one name to keep an eye out for in the NFL this coming season. Pretty much, again, like last year, I figured every team that had a need in the first round got what they needed going to the draft. This year is basically the same thing. I don't see any busts, you can call that. I mean, the NFL has become such a talented league now, with a lot of good players coming into the league every single year, that when you see teams drafting based off of a need and a want in the first round especially, there's some diamonds in the rough, and I don't see any bad picks here at all. And even in the later rounds, second, third, fourth rounds, you find some great players. Last year, you had 2 great rookie running backs in Alvin Kamara for the New Orleans Saints and Kareem Hunt for the Kansas City Chiefs. Both of them were drafted in the 3rd round. You don't have to get a great first-round pick. You can always get them later on down the road. Heck, Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. I know we use that example a lot, but it's true. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, and look at what he's done for his career. He's arguably one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in NFL history. Recapping the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs in the 2nd round, we are now underway. The Tampa Bay Lightning survived, and they got through their first-round matchup with the New Jersey Devils. They play the Boston Bruins, who had to go 7 games with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's going to be an exciting matchup of the Eastern Conference, as should be the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins, meeting once again in the 2nd round, going at it for the Metropolitan side in the Eastern Conference. In the West, Nashville and Winnipeg go at it. That's probably going to be the most exciting matchup to watch for the Stanley Cup playoffs as of right now in the 2nd round. Those 2 teams have rabid fan bases, and I mean that in the best way possible. You have Smashville and the whiteout for the Winnipeg Jets. It's going to be just amazing if that series does not go at least 6 or 7 games. That is just a very highly competitive matchup. And then you have the Vegas Golden Knights and San Jose Sharks going at it in the Pacific side in the West. Those 2 teams coming off sweeps in their respective series in the first round. Vegas should be the heavy favorites in that one. I don't expect San Jose to lay low for the most part, because they certainly didn't do that against the Anaheim Ducks, and then see them against the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas does have a few bad games here and there that could easily go 6 games, but I still have Vegas coming out on top going into the Western Conference Finals, assuming they can beat the San Jose Sharks. In the NBA playoffs, you've got the Houston Rockets going up now against the Utah Jazz in the second round. Yes, Utah took care of Oklahoma in 6 games. That experiment in Oklahoma City has now failed miserably, and I'm not saying I expected it, but seeing how it was playing out going into the playoffs, it was not going to end well. Even if they did get out of the first round, I did not see them beating the Houston Rockets, and now you've got them not even making it out of the first round in 6 games to the Utah Jazz. But if you haven't seen Donovan Mitchell play for the Utah Jazz, you need to start watching, because that guy is an amazing player. He's not going to win Rookie of the Year most likely, because it's going to go to Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. But I would be shocked if Donovan Mitchell does not get a handful of votes, and a pretty substantial amount, I might add, for the Rookie of the Year award. He has been playing amazing basketball down the stretch for the Utah Jazz. The New Orleans Pelicans swept the Portland Trail Blazers. They're going to be playing the Golden State Warriors in the second round. The Raptors took care of the Wizards in 6 games. The Sixers took care of the Heat in 5. But you have 2 Game 7s happening between the Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers. Game 7 going to be in Cleveland this weekend. Boston and the Milwaukee Bucks going at it for 7 games as well. Game 7 being played in Boston. Winner of that plays Philly. Cleveland, Indiana, the winner plays Toronto. Time for the segment that makes no assumptions at all. Do you remember?
You remember?
Do you remember when we didn't really jump to conclusions when it came to somebody's past or somebody saying something in a way that makes you kind of think like, wait, what did he just say? Well, that's kind of what's been happening in our society nowadays. We read something, we read the headline, we just read one quick quote, and we automatically get outraged and in just absolute shock and disbelief at what we're reading or what we even heard that person just say. Context matters, and we're starting to lose sight of that, unfortunately, in some of these instances where we don't get the proper context, where somebody says something responding to the question, but we don't really know what the question was or what led up to that question in the first place. And that happens a lot in the sports realm when it comes to media relations and interactions, and then we have the instant reaction of, oh my goodness, you cannot say those things. How could he say that? We lose sight of it, and we need to have proper context, and context matters. It's everything before you make a rash reaction to something. Case in point with Josh Allen, now the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, where his tweets when he was a 14, 15-year-old in high school have come into question just before he was drafted this weekend by the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm not going to repeat those tweets that he has said, but he did use the N-word in a couple of those tweets. And Yahoo Sports did a funny thing in pointing out also that he tweeted that he hates LeBron. Quote, "I hate LeBron," in a tweet, marking that up as possible offensive language with the other tweets that he said using the N-word. Now, I'll get to the LeBron tweet in a second, but him using the N-word, obviously there's no excuse for that whatsoever. And the context in that he explained in sending those tweets was that he was quoting rap lyrics, and one of the tweets that did not include the N-word was a reference to the show Modern Family on ABC. Now, I take his explanation at face value, and being 14 and 15 years old, you don't understand the meaning of that word, possibly. I don't understand in this day and age how you could not, but I'm willing to take his explanation at face value. Rap music has that word in it almost every single time. I can give you many examples right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, the way the N-word was used in his tweets, quoting those rap lyrics, the N-word is not spelled the way you think it is. It's with the AS at the end instead of the ERS. Now, I guess there's a difference between it, but I'm not privy to it. I don't use that word. I'm not familiar with it. I don't want to use it. And I don't understand why people still use it to this day. If you can answer this question for me, what is the difference between the ER and the A at the end of that word? And why is it okay to use the one with the A at the end and not the one with the ER? I mean, if it's the same meaning, why are we using it? I don't understand that. And I don't care to use it. I'm not trying to get to that point in my life where I have to use that word. Josh Allen learned from his mistake. He has owned it. He has apologized for it. We can accept that. You don't have to accept that. And obviously, there's been speculation about his new teammates in Buffalo might have questions about that. Rightfully so. That's perfectly fine. We are in a free society where we can come to our own conclusions and opinions without retribution for it. We shouldn't have that happen to us. Good on Josh Allen for coming forward with it, owning it, apologizing for it, and saying that's not who I am. I'm willing to accept that. Most everybody is willing to accept that. I'm not going to ruin this man's future in the NFL over something that he did when he was 14, 15 years old. He's learning from it. Let's all get it in proper context. Let's move on from it. And by the way, him saying he hates LeBron, he's not the only one that tweeted that. Even people that respect LeBron had that kind of feeling towards him at that point in time when he joined the Miami Heat. Time for my feel-good story of the week. And it doesn't really delve into the sports world. And I know it's kind of a shocker to you, but sometimes things just have to be said. And the feel-good story of the week is between North and South Korea. You had Kim Jong-un of North Korea shaking hands with South Korean President Moon Jae-in at the DMZ of all places. They crossed each other's borders, shaking hands the entire time, and they also signed an agreement that basically says there will be peace in Korea later this year. It's mind-boggling to think that this is actually happening in our day and age. And not to give you a brief history lesson here, but I'm not going to go as far as to say and quote Neville Chamberlain just before World War II when he said after meeting with Adolf Hitler, "Peace in our time." I'm not going that far because we don't know yet. They just signed a paper saying that they are going to work towards peace. It's not official yet. But I am encouraged by this. I am shocked as well. And it's a good kind of shock because I'd never thought this was going to happen in my lifetime. Neither in your lifetime, probably. This is kind of like what the Berlin Wall did in 1989, breaking down communism at that day and age. And now you see what's happening in Korea. It's a historic moment right now. And it's got to make you feel good to know that peace is possible, especially in that region of the world where they haven't had a peace agreement since the Korean War. It was an armistice. So you could make the case that they have still been at war all this time. But now we have gotten to this point in time where they're shaking hands at the DMZ and signing an agreement towards peace later on. Thank you for tuning in this week. Be sure to check in next week for episode 8 of One-on-One with yours truly at youtube.com and also at westthesportsguy.com. I will see you next time.